Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Hi, this is Jonathan Fields, host of The Good Life Project, where each week I talk to listeners about investing in their future by increasing their own vitality. But when it comes to those financial goals, whether it be saving for a home renovation, growing your child's college fund, or travel, life can make it difficult to stay the course. By working with a dedicated Merrill advisor, you get a personalized plan and a clear path forward. Having the bullet at your back helps your whole financial life move with you. So when your plans change, Merrill's with you every step of the way. Go to ml.com/bullish to learn more. Merrill, a Bank of America company. What would you like the power to do? Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, registered broker-dealer, registered investment advisor, member SIPC.
Why get all your holiday decorations delivered through Instacart? Because maybe you only bought 2 wreaths, but you have 12 windows. Or maybe your toddler got very eager with the advent calendar. Or maybe the inflatable snowman didn't make it through the snowstorm. Or maybe the twinkle lights aren't twinkling. Whatever the reason, this season, Instacart's here for hosts and their whole holiday haul. Get decorations from the Home Depot, CVS, and more through Instacart and enjoy free delivery on your first 3 orders. Service fees and terms apply.
Surviving Reality contains explicit content full of snark and sarcasm that may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Surviving Reality.
I'm Corey.
And I'm Carly, and today we're talking about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 5, Episode 11, Troop Salt Lake City.
Which this is a wonderful reference for one of Carly's all-time favorite movies.
Troop Beverly Hills, duh.
Yes, the best.
One of the best pieces of cinema ever made.
Which I think we've watched maybe one time since we've been together.
Really?
So
I haven't subjected it to you more?
No, that's what I'm saying is you were kind of remembering that you hadn't watched this movie in a while.
Yeah.
And it has been probably at least 10 years since I think you've watched it.
Well, I think that's what we have to do after this now.
That must be what's happening. Yeah.
This is such a good episode. Again, the ladies of Salt Lake City keep delivering for us. Meredith was sleeping on us the first half of the season.
Were we sleeping on her or was she sleeping on us?
She was sleeping on us. She has arisen and she is back and better than ever.
It's not even her final form, though.
No.
I feel like we're just getting started. We're just warming up. We're just stretching our legs.
To your point, it's because nothing brings out peak Meredith more than her feeling like she's being insulted. And that is happening over and over and over again. It's starting to compile.
Well, there's no one better to insult than Mary Cosby. So, yeah, now we have a really good rivalry that's set up. And then Angie gets in there, too. She's kind of throwing some agitation Meredith's way. She just kind of instigates a couple of things and gets her fired up. Revved up so she can say some real crazy, unhinged shit to Mary.
Well, what did we see in this episode?
The Bravo description for this one is Heather and Whitney host a girls' camp to reunite the women. Meredith invites Mary to a gallery, but things quickly go awry. Lisa and Angie meet up to attempt to make amends. Meredith hosts a Shabbat dinner. Mary has a heart-to-heart with Robert Jr.
I think it's important at the top of the episode that we give a little trigger warning for the conversation that's going to happen with Robert Jr., which won't be till the very end of the episode, but it does involve drug use.
Prescription drug abuse.
Yeah, so we will get to that. We ended on quite a serious note for an episode that started out so ridiculously that they are dressed like Girl Scouts.
Girl Scouts. Like you would just find them outside the grocery store, getting ready to order your Thin Mints. But that's not what's happening today.
Okay, now I feel like we have to get Girl Scout cookies and watch True Beverly Hills. It's a whole thing.
Seems like the most appropriate way to enjoy that.
And I need one of those hats.
Do we know anybody who's in the Girl Scouts at all? I don't think so.
No, so I guess if you need to sell cookies.
Yeah, maybe send us a message. We might order a few boxes.
All right, I've got a description here.
Let's hear
my version.
Yes, of course.
Meredith starts to suspect something is going on with Mary. Troop Salt Lake City awards its first badge. Heather is turned off by Alan's treatment of Bronwyn.
Oh, Alan. And Alan meaning Todd, because Heather still doesn't know Bronwyn's husband's name.
Did they just not show it in the episode where she went to Bronwyn's house, or did we just completely miss it?
I think we might have missed it the first time, because then, they flash back to it this time. So if it was included, I didn't clock that. I guess he does seem like an Alan.
She just picked an old white man's name.
Does he feel like an Alan, though? Doesn't he?
More than a Todd.
More than a Todd. That's what's weird. That's what's throwing me off, is that I know that Heather's wrong, but she feels right. And I don't like that.
All right, well, we start this episode off, and it's time to gather everyone back together again. So Whitney and Heather are planning an outdoorsy kind of day because they're the sporty spices of the group.
I guess so. Yeah, we have seen them do some more sporty stuff. At least Whitney. I don't know if Heather really has. Heather did a skiing thing a couple seasons ago, right?
Yeah, and they've participated in the zip lining and the various climbing activities. There's a lot of outdoor climbing happening this season.
Yeah, a lot
At least
of stuff.
we stayed with our feet on the ground in this episode.
A lot of things where gravity plays a dangerous role and you have to be strapped in on a harness. So I'm just glad that we didn't need any of that.
Every episode, though, where they go and do something turns into tailgating.
Yeah, they seem to be potlucking a lot this season. They're all about it.
Like, is there a problem with the budget?
Bring a side dish to share with everyone, because we're not having it catered.
Clearly, the best part of this whole thing is that they get to dress up all cute like Girl Scouts. They get to eat Girl Scout cookies.
Making s'mores, too.
And they're eating s'mores as they're planning this.
Oh, very much. Yeah, you could tell that this was kind of Whitney and Heather had to meet up. They were going to talk through what the invite wording and verbiage was going to be like. But they also kind of busted into the s'mores a little bit just to test them out. Make sure that everything was all up to snuff. Everything was good.
They do have kind of an alternate plan, though, which is to get Meredith some of these life milestones that she hasn't been able to experience yet.
Like building a fire?
And crafting. They think for some reason that Meredith has not crafted enough in her childhood.
I think she's done plenty of time to earn her tub badge at this point, though, for whatever that's worth.
She has been doing arts and crafts with the bath bomb building.
Has that been it? Or has she been making her kids do most of that? It seems like she's kind of outsourced a lot of that work. And then most of her job with the bath bombs is just complaining about how Whitney stole her idea.
She's really stopped talking about that lately.
Honestly, don't miss it. I don't miss that storyline. I don't miss that fake drama that they were trying to manufacture. Let's find something real to argue about instead.
Well, she's on to her next victim in the group, which is going to be Mary Cosby. She got kicked out of Mary Cosby's breakfast at Tiffany's luncheon.
Which I think even that, it's a stretch to say that she was kicked out. She misheard Mary Cosby when Mary Cosby was saying, if you're not going to listen to me, if you're not going to stop yelling, then you can leave my house. Meaning that as a general escalation of, if you're not going to listen to the things that I'm saying and you're not going to listen to each other and you're going to continue yelling, then just, it's better off that you're not here.
Maybe her hearing aid wasn't turned up enough.
Well, she probably couldn't hear her over Angie yelling. But I mean, Mary Cosby did yell that pretty loud. But I think I would still argue that Meredith only heard the last part, which was, then you can leave. Then you should leave.
And she said, bet.
And so she said, okie dokie, grabbed her to-go bag, her goodie bag, and then got the hell out of there.
That didn't end well. So they need to get together and chat. Because Meredith is starting to compile her list for her bat mitzvah.
Yeah, she doesn't want to have to reduce the number of invites she's going to send out. She still wants a reasonable and almost enviable turnout for this. That's what she wants. She needs the bat mitzvah gifts. that are going to come along with this. I think that's what she's going for.
She needs all the love and support.
Mary Cosby's
Gifts.
Mary Cosby's going to be given a good gift. I feel like you don't want to strike her off the list there.
She did give good goodies at the
That's what I'm saying. It was good enough where she got yelled at and Meredith still had to grab that as the party favor.
Her notebook, what was it? I forget what it was.
It was probably like a moleskin notebook.
I feel like it was a designer brand notebook.
It was probably Chanel then, because a lot of Mary Cosby's books were Chanel that she had. So I don't know. The literature that is abounding in the Cosby home.
Before she leaves, though, she's got to check on Robert Jr.
I don't think he's in there. So I feel like this was just her knocking on the door and talking into the abyss, basically, because I don't think the dude's at home. And even if he is, he's not at home mentally, physically. He's not here.
He's not in the room with us.
No,
that's for sure.
Definitely.
I think you're right, though. It was probably an empty room. At one point, she was like, why am I doing this? I should just call him.
I have his phone number.
Phone.
Yeah. Maybe check out in the driveway, see if his car's there or something. Like, is he even home right now?
I feel like Mary Cosby does that a lot. I'm not sure it has anything to do with what we're going to learn later in the episode.
Just checking to see if the car's there, or talking at a door when nobody's actually in that room?
Talking to people who aren't actually home.
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably that.
This somehow makes her late to meet Meredith. Meredith is standing in the middle of an art gallery, which this tends to be a common meetup in Salt Lake City. Random art galleries.
How many art galleries are there in Salt Lake? Is that just a common thing? I mean, I guess that's where they picked up Bronwyn, probably. Was at some art gallery somewhere. She was on full display.
Oh, she was on display.
I'm assuming.
She wasn't shopping.
Yeah, she wasn't looking.
Is that the word you use when people are looking for art?
Browsing, perhaps. Is that it?
Curating?
See if anything strikes your fancy.
Well, she's waiting and waiting. And now the woman who works at the gallery is like getting a little creeped out.
Are you going to buy anything? Or are you just
lurking?
You're wandering around. There's a camera on you. You're scaring away other potential customers. So the sooner you can wrap this up, the better.
I love how shitty she instantly gets, because she tells the woman that the person she's waiting for is 40 minutes late at this point.
Well, I'm supposed to be meeting someone, but they are very late.
They are very impolite. And clearly Mary's trying to send a message to her by doing this.
That's the interpretation behind this. And Meredith gets such a strong feeling about that she calls her children up and lets them know Mary Cosby is personally disrespecting me by not showing up right now. I don't have any context into the reason why she is this late, but I feel like it's personal.
Not like she tries to check on her either. Like, everything okay? When she walks in, she does ask, all good?
Kind of.
What's happening?
What's going on?
And she gets zero explanation.
Well, yeah, Mary tries to play it off like nothing is wrong.
Like she was on time.
And that, yeah, there is no lateness to be accounted for here. So that makes it tougher, I think, to excuse from that standpoint. But I do feel like Meredith went above and beyond as far as, oh, Mary Cosby was very rude to me to kick me out of her home. I don't think that was it. I think Meredith misinterpreted what was being said, and she excused herself from that scenario. She wasn't forcibly removed. We know Mary Cosby had security there. She could have thrown Meredith out on her keister if she really wanted to.
99% of the things that Meredith gets involved with on this show are misunderstandings.
A complete terrible read of whatever is happening.
Being late didn't help, because now Meredith is firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, she's already been thinking of what she's going to say for the past 45 minutes.
She's so pissed.
She's fired up.
It's just injury after injury perpetrated on her. So she accuses Mary of not having her back when it came to the fight with Angie the other day.
I think that's pretty rich, though, because it wasn't even like Mary was trying to be the referee between the two of them, because she was basically letting them both know, hey, you're both out of line right now.
She was yelling at both of them.
Very much so.
It was a far cry from Mary having the back of her bestie and throwing you out in the street.
Yeah, that is definitely not what happened. So Meredith's interpretation is already pretty skewed, but then Mary isn't addressing kind of the obvious factors here, where she was late. That could be perceived as rude. If you're talking about etiquette and things like that, then I think you should probably address the elephant in the room, the pink elephant in the room, if you will.
If you didn't do anything wrong at the party, that's one thing. But being late, you could have said something about.
And so now she doesn't like that it feels like Meredith's attacking her. Even though I don't think Meredith was really attacking Mary out the gate either.
Oh, I felt like she was.
Okay, it felt like she was legitimately asking, like, is everything okay? She was asking for, do you have a legitimate reason for why you're 45 minutes late and why you made me stand around and wait here?
Yeah, I don't think that it was a genuine... Was Meredith genuinely concerned about Mary? Or was it that Mary didn't offer an excuse for being late instantly? So she gave her the opportunity to say something, but it was also her pointing out the situation.
I feel like that was the way it was taken, where Mary was then upset that it was kind of being thrown in her face.
That she was late.
That she was late, because obviously she was late. I mean, there's no way to deny that. She then tried to blame... What? She tried to blame Meredith for living too far away because it took her an hour to get there.
We have seen Amber Portwood do this on Teen Mom. That's not the time you told me to be here.
Well, I don't know if that's what it was, because she knew when she was supposed to be there.
No, so did Amber.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, there's ways around this.
Yeah, it didn't seem like Mary's reaction was... there was just no way around it. I don't know why she went that route to then blame Meredith for renting too far away from where she lives.
So she could bring up her rental.
Yeah, pretty much.
They tend to have the Airbnbs on the outskirts of town.
I guess so. Near all the art galleries.
Up and coming areas.
Yeah, it must be.
No, I think it's because Mary doesn't have energy for anything anymore. She's dealing with whatever's going on with Robert Jr., and she's definitely not here for whatever Meredith is trying to do today.
She clocked it pretty quick that, okay, this is taking a turn, and now Meredith is going to get combative, so I think I'm just going to go. Which, to me, is more frustrating, because now you've driven an hour to come out here and talk to Meredith, and now you're just going to get back in your car and go home?
She had a driver.
I understand.
She texted the whole time.
You still, it's just
a big waste of time.
Time spent in the car.
You got dressed.
Yeah, it's just the energy of going out that's required. That's the issue that I have. I think that's why I weep for Mary Cosby this episode.
I think that just says more about us personally.
It really does. But, I mean, there's people out there who get it.
The friendship is severed. That's where we're leaving this conversation.
How much of a friendship was it to begin with? I mean, they weren't really...
loose word for it.
Yeah, we weren't really close necessarily.
Co-workers.
They happened to be on the same iteration of Housewives.
Lisa and Angie are still trying to disprove that they're bad parents. And so now we watch them go to the aquarium together with their kids.
And I think, are they disproving it to each other?
I think so. It was
mostly
for an audience of 2.
Yeah, but then we all get subjected to it secondhand. And the cameras come along and we get to see their encounter with a snake, which could have been very exciting. Well, at first it was a snake, and then they went on to go look at some other aquatic animals as well. But Carly, what were your Carly animal facts for the snake experience? Is this something that you want to go ahead and do the next time we have the opportunity to have a snake in the room with us?
Well, you know what? I was actually intrigued when they mentioned that the snake wasn't slimy, because I always have thought that. I would imagine it was a slimy texture.
Yeah, no, it feels weird, though, because it's like a scaly texture.
You've touched a snake?
I've touched a snake.
When? On what occasion?
I don't recall.
At a zoo?
Honestly, it was in a controlled environment.
Okay.
Definitely. But I think I have touched a snake at some point. See, I can deal with the constrictor types. Like, I'm okay with that. It's the venomous ones. I don't really like to mess around with that.
Who does?
Yeah, it's very hazardous. Well, some people do. Some people fuck around and find out.
Just let me hang out with all this, the sea lions and the dolphins.
Well, sea lions might.
I know they can get nasty.
They might get you. Yeah, they can get territorial too.
If I have to take my pick, that's the way I'm going to go.
Okay. See,
with the stingrays and the sea lions.
I don't mind being in a room with a constrictor snake if it's already eaten before I interact with it. Because then that's the other thing too, is they don't usually try to constrict anything if they're not hungry. So if he's already
these are Corey animal facts.
I'm just saying. That's
which are true, which makes them less fun.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I'll try to be wrong more if that's more entertaining for you.
Maybe they'll see a narwhal while they're there.
Perhaps. Yeah, they might have I think that exhibit's closed for renovations, though.
I bet you the penguins were closed because they are in every zoo.
They always are.
Although, would they have penguins here? It's an aquarium.
Yeah, I mean...
You could.
It's an aquatic animal.
That's an animal that kind of like straddles the fence between the two.
No, it's a bird that flies underwater is what it is. So, I mean, they're
I wouldn't
swimmers.
know because the exhibit is always closed.
It's true. Yeah, you didn't get to learn.
Well, what are we here for? It's really just so that Lisa and Angie can sit down and talk to one another and tell their kids to kind of like fuck off and go look at something.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. And they get to a good place. They make amends-ish, sort of.
But it starts with a lot of talking from Lisa.
There's
like
a lot
of talking. A lot of words. Angie is trying to get a word in and say something because Lisa's asking for an apology. And so Angie's attempting to apologize, but she won't let her speak.
And that makes it difficult. It definitely does. It introduces it as more of a challenge at that point.
So once we wade through all of that, we find out that the issue was that Lisa felt like Angie wasn't validating her feelings and that she didn't have her back against Whitney because Whitney's been spreading all kinds of lies about her.
How else would Angie be able to validate Lisa's feelings, though, when it sounded like Lisa was calling her a ton, like constantly, all day, every day? How often were they on the phone together?
Angie makes it sound like it was 24/7.
She said thousands of calls, I think, at one point.
Well, I don't believe it until we see the call log.
Honestly,
get the receipts.
I will be completely transparent here. I believe Angie. I believe that Lisa called her all the time, constantly. I could totally see that happening.
But I think the calls went kind of like this conversation did.
Very one-sided.
Yeah. Lisa calls to talk at other people.
Yeah. And that's why I think Angie just needs to master the art of hitting mute and continuing on with your day. That's what I'm saying. This is a skill set, and it is required for some relationships.
Yeah, but in this group, you can't just blindly answer things. Like, even going,
I feel like with
would
Lisa...
be an agreement.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Mute, and then move on with your day. So that way you're not committing to anything. You just leave Lisa to her own devices. She'll talk through everything from all the angles, and you don't really need to contribute anything.
So more of a non-committal response, like,
No, and just
meh.
mute. Just mute. Lisa's going to keep going. I guarantee it. Like, there is no input.
She doesn't want an answer.
Yeah, she doesn't want to hear your side anyway. She just wants to continue talking until she works through whatever it is she's working on.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
Holiday magic is in the air, and DSW's got all the shoes to make your season extra merry. Believe, you've got parties to attend and lists to check twice, so DSW is taking care of the details, like gifts to make their eyes all aglow, styles that bring joy to your world, brands everyone wants, like UGG, Nike, Birkenstock, and more, and deals to make your budget bright. Find the perfect shoes for you and yours at a DSW store near you or DSW.com.
So Angie does apologize to her, but then she tells her, look, there's some other things going on here because when you start yelling like we're at a table and you're getting into it with somebody, I feel like my childhood trauma gets triggered.
I don't feel like Lisa's going to take that into account. I feel like that's something where she's like, okay, that's good to know. I almost feel like Lisa's going to store that information to use that against Angie at some point. Like, that's what's going to happen as a result of this, sharing something so personal as part of this apology process.
I just find that kind of hard to believe and convenient because when Angie is worked up and is fighting with somebody at the table, she doesn't seem to have that same response where she just shuts down.
Yeah, because I think if her shutting down is standing up, knocking her chair over, and screaming at Lisa, that's what happened at the Harley-Davidson Museum. I don't think I would qualify that as shutting down necessarily.
We're not professionals.
So I can't speak from, a clinical standpoint.
But it doesn't really seem like it. She's also proactively starting fights at the table with people, so it doesn't really seem like you're just like timid and afraid of confrontation. You just maybe are afraid of standing up for Lisa in front of the group. But they're all good now. So thank God we can move past that.
Yeah, there are repercussions for standing up for Lisa at the table. So that's something to be mindful of. You have to be careful of who you're going to go to bat for in this group.
And we got batters on base because everybody's getting together. That's not the right thing. Batters on deck.
Well, the batters could be on deck. I mean, you could have runners on base because once you're a batter and you get on base, then you're a runner.
I know.
You're close.
Twisting them all together.
It's okay. Carly baseball facts.
There we go. Well, we're ready to go camping, in quotes.
Glamping.
It's not quite glamping.
It's not glamping. I thought it was going to be glamping in some capacity here.
That's why I think there's a budget cut from Bravo.
Yeah, they might be dialing back because, it's not catered. There's no booze being served. It's kind of bring your own, whatever you need. There isn't even a restroom. We had to go dig a hole somewhere.
Like a glamping weekend would have broken them.
Well, I feel like that would have put people into a space where they would have been a little bit more receptive in terms of conversation. I feel like you're throwing people out against the elements here because it's Meredith versus Wild trying to light these huge logs on fire with a Bic lighter. I don't know what she was doing. She does not know the concept of kindling or fire starting in general.
Can I confess something to you?
Okay.
I've attempted to start a fire that exact way before.
Oh, God. I know. In your mom's fireplace, there have been a few instances.
Oh, so you watched me do it.
Yes, and then I've had to correct it. Yes, because then there was kindling that needs to take place. You have to start with the small fire and then get the big fire.
I don't know. Same thing. I never got to be in Girl Scouts.
I was never in the Girl Scouts either. I was never in the Boy Scouts or the Eagle Scouts.
I've also never been camping. I've never been outdoors in the wild for an extended period of time in which I needed a fire.
So I feel like that's the other thing is just this amount of exposure to the elements for them. This was enough to throw them into a tailspin of just completely visceral reactions to things that were happening. Nobody was in any way, shape, or form interested in trying to mediate in any of these relationships, any of these conversations as they were coming up. Everybody went straight to survival instincts.
I'm convinced, though, that this isn't like a foreign place to them because I think this is where they keep setting up these outdoor events.
Once Lisa is out of a 20-mile radius of a swig, she basically goes feral.
I'm sorry, it's Wendy's. They're the sponsor this season.
It's true, yeah. They paid.
We'll name drop Swig when they pay Bravo.
Yeah, they paid to be mentioned here.
You want to back up to everybody heading there because they're taking separate vehicles. Mary and Angie are in one, and then it's like basically everyone else in the other.
This was interesting because we just saw Angie and Lisa made up. And now what they're setting the stage for is with this camping excursion, because it's not even a trip, really, because we're not that far out of town.
It's a few hours.
Depending on
outside.
I guess if you ask Meredith, it might be pretty far. Maybe. But now we're setting it up where Mary and Angie are going to be coming in hot against Lisa and Meredith. And the whole basis of Angie and Lisa's conversation at the aquarium is, I need to know that you've got my back. So this is hard because it sets them up on opposite sides for something. So this could easily flare up and kind of cross-contaminate into their relationship dynamic again. And then that'll be a whole other layer to the argument here.
That's obviously one of the big points of conversation. What's going to happen when Mary and Meredith are in the same room again? Will Meredith wear the bangs?
The bangs are gone. Yeah, luckily. Thankfully for Meredith's sake, too.
And Bronwyn is still on her shit about how she actually got an invite to come today from Heather.
Which is kind of weird. I mean, they did land on, I guess, pretty good terms at Mary's, at the Breakfast at Tiffany's thing, where it was like, let's just at least move forward and pretend to try to build something here.
Pretend that.
Let's see if something can naturally manifest out of this, but I'm not holding my breath.
I'm going to give points for Bronwyn, though, because she is showing up in costume.
Why is she dressed like Little Debbie, though? I mean,
it's an unfortunate combination of her hair with the hat.
Is she bringing Nutty Buddies? Like, what's the deal here? You remember those?
Yeah.
They're like big Kit Kats covered in chocolate.
Gross. Are there nuts in it?
Gross. No, there's no isn't that weird though? It's called a Nutty Buddy, but there's no nuts in it, I don't think.
You better fact check that.
But yes, Nutty Buddies do contain peanuts.
Oh,
so
see, you
watch
can't be
out.
giving out fake facts about peanuts.
Yeah, I guess they do contain that. I don't know if it's like really in there. It's not like a primary flavor profile for the snack, but they are in there.
Okay. The hat, though, it was giving Troop Beverly Hills. It just wasn't the right hat for Bronwyn.
It wasn't landing. It definitely was Little Debbie for me.
I do feel like she's putting a little bit too much into the fact that she got invited today, because we find out even Maylee got invited.
Which is a miracle by most standards.
Why is she here? Where was she sitting? I saw her walk in with something in her hand, never saw her again. That's how little I care about her.
We don't hear anything. She has nothing to contribute. I don't know why she keeps getting invites. I don't know how.
No.
Because they forgot to invite her to like 3 things in a row. And then they just brought her back again for this one.
She's also not good at this. You know now that you're in competition with Brittany, and Brittany is way outpacing you. You didn't show up here with something to say?
I didn't miss her. Nothing was missed by having her gone. So I don't know why she's back.
No, I'm actually like, can someone else get another friend? We need another friend up. She's wasting an opportunity.
I feel like Brittany would have a good friend that she would bring in, because she's such a turd too, that she's bound to hang out with somebody who's more interesting than her.
You know who she's probably going to bring on next season if she comes back? Who do you think will be a friend of? Monica?
Oh, boy.
I bet you she's friends with Monica Garcia. Or if she's not, Monica is in her DMs trying desperately.
Trying so hard.
No, you know who she's DMing? Jared. Let's get a love triangle going, because Brittany can't resist talking about that. Like you said, Meredith attempts to start a bonfire. She gets her first badge.
Well, she tries. I don't know if she successfully completes the requirements that are needed.
That was kind of like the only thing they did that felt like it fit what they came here to do today.
Yeah, everything else was the costume, the outfits, and not everybody participated in that way.
No, lame. Not everyone dressed up.
Angie showed up and she was like, oh, I didn't get the memo on that. It's in the invite. So how did you not get that? Some people did. Bronwyn went
tired of dressing up.
Yeah, Bronwyn went over the top with it. But again, I'm just more concerned she's going to start throwing cosmic brownies and zebra cakes at people.
I feel like after how Meredith showed up at the last event, I feel like they should all be texting each other in advance before they show up somewhere, just to make sure that the outfit's on point.
They're going to snap a quick selfie, send it out.
No one wants to have another faux pas like that.
Yeah, let's get the green light on this. Let's have some extra buffers in the workflow here.
Appropriately, Mary and Angie roll up late, so they're not dressed in theme, and they're not on time. Meredith has something to say about that, of course.
Meredith was ready to call that out, yeah, because 45 minutes late, that seems to be the usual now.
Well, good. That means it wasn't an insult to you personally, Meredith.
Yeah, but she's still going to take it as a personal insult, too, somehow.
I really want to skip over the Brittany stuff, because who the fuck cares that she's back with Jared? But we got to talk about soaking.
We learn a thing or two on this episode from Heather.
We already knew about soaking. The myth. It's not a myth, though. That was confirmed. The legend.
Well, I think that
of BYU soaking.
Because what happened was then soaking as we knew it was more of like, it's a different classification of soaking that Heather was letting us know that isn't more common. Soaking is, as Heather explains, resting the hot dog in the bun. And then there is no motion, subsequent thrusting, or
gyrating.
Any sort of movement that's required. Which I would argue, how did it get in? Is that not a thrust?
Oh, that's true. There had to be some movement.
So that's where it's all bullshit.
Oh, well, let's get you up on a church panel. Is that what they call them?
No, I don't think they look for outside input on
They're not asking the right questions.
Well, that's true. Nobody's going to argue that. But I think what we had understood as soaking was the
jumping was involved. That was an element. But apparently that is a subset of soaking.
And more of a mythological less practical.
No, I think that has just maybe evolved since Heather's time at BYU.
Right. I feel like it's more accepted now.
The kids are risk seekers.
There have been certain TikToks that have come up that would prove otherwise, Heather, that it is a common thing.
What was the other thing? I did not write it down. It was soaking in something else.
Well, I think she said it was, well, not jumping. What was she calling it? It was something humping.
I don't know.
It must be Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba. I think that's what it was called.
Okay, wait.
I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never going to keep me down, right?
The whole point of this is that Brittany has been making her way around town.
She got knocked down, but she got up again.
There are no less than 10 guys aside from Jared that she has had on rotation.
And she's just keeping her options open. And she's not totally slutting it up because she's only doing the BYU rules. It's just a peck on the lips.
It's not slut shame.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Well, she's trying to defend.
Or kink shame.
Kissing on the mouth? That's a kink now?
Pretty woman rules. That's what she's following.
No, that's no kissing.
That was no kissing.
Yeah, that's
inverse.
Yeah, not on the. It's everything but the kissing on the lips. That's too intimate.
She's trying to play it really cool because he's in love with her now. According to her.
They're back. They're fourth.
She's got him just where she wants him. So now she's got to say, I'm the one rejecting you because that's what's working.
He took her to a Donny Osmond performance in Vegas, so things are getting pretty serious.
There's a potato sack race. I don't know that's an authentic Girl Scout activity necessarily.
It feels very summer camp. Yeah. I think there were some other things that were being harkened back to here as well, because I think Lisa and Meredith were talking about sleepaway camp as well.
I needed more inspiration from the movie.
Beverly Hills Troop?
Yeah. Beverly Hills, I'm not going on a hike.
Yeah, there's no hiking.
That's a big part of the movie.
Maybe that was part of the plan, and then they didn't even get to it because things kind of devolved rather quickly here. I don't know if Bronwyn ran out of Swiss cake rolls or what the deal was.
Whenever they sit down to eat, bad things happen. And here we are yet again. Almost immediately after they sit down, Angie brings up the wine thing to Brittany about how she brought wine to her party and Brittany's upset about it, but she's got receipts and she shows the text that Brittany sent her after the party, where not only did she thank her for the wine, but she told her it was really good wine.
Because her and Jared, of course, enjoyed it thoroughly, probably while soaking.
That doesn't really have the effect that they thought it would, and it gives Mary Cosby the perfect opening to bring up manners.
Etiquette.
Which is kind of rich because I thought that Meredith was going to beat her to it.
I really thought that Meredith was going to bring it up first.
You know what I've noticed? Meredith likes to kind of sit by and let other people start things or say a lot to her, and she will just be silent until they're done talking, and then she'll bring something up in response.
See, and what was surprising for me was that Mary didn't take the opportunity to really go after Meredith necessarily. She took the opportunity to go after Lisa in this. It was more so directed at Lisa, I think, when it first started up the conversation. Things got riled up. Well, I guess it makes sense because she knows that Meredith and Lisa are very close together here. So you can't just go right after Meredith because then Lisa's going to jump in and interject. So I think she was trying to get out in front of that because Meredith expected her to say something. And so this is kind of like a little change up for that.
I thought that Whitney was the one who tried to turn the conversation to Lisa.
Well, I think it was Whitney had said something. I think Angie was saying something, and then Whitney threw something at Lisa, and then Mary jumped in on that to pile on Lisa.
I can't stand how Whitney just sits on the far outskirts of a fight and will just randomly yell shit. Because what she said was something about holding grudges and then bringing that back to Lisa, which opened the door for them to try to fight with Lisa. But she does an amazing job of deflecting that.
Yeah, it's hands off. She wants other people to jump in.
Lisa tries to deflect, but no one takes the bait. Everyone's yelling at everyone at this point. We've got Angie screaming things at Bronwyn about borrowing Meredith's hearing aids so that she can figure out what's going on here. Meredith is insulted that they're talking about something very personal, her hearing aids. Mary's jumping on Lisa about the jumpsuit from the last episode and who had it first.
You see, I knew that Mary had an issue with Meredith, I knew that she was going to have to say something about that to Lisa because Lisa and Meredith are close. I didn't realize that that was going to be her in, though.
The jumpsuit.
The
Fendi jumpsuit
that she wore to her house. That was the biggest offense that Mary could take with Lisa at this point. I think she had a couple different things that she could have chosen to go with, but that was where she landed. That was what crossed the line for her.
And then she remembers the hot mic moment that Lisa had a couple of seasons ago where she was going off about Meredith and how Meredith was the biggest slut in New York. I thought that we were pretty much over that, but we're revisiting it again.
Maybe it sparked something in Mary's memory because we were talking about Brittany dating all these guys, potentially soaking with them, kissing them on the mouth. So that just kind of jogged her memory, I think, of something that happened recently.
The last floozy in the group that people were complaining about?
It was Meredith. It used to be Meredith, and now Brittany's kind of taking that mantle.
Eventually, Meredith blows her whistle. Did anyone else forget that they had one?
I don't think anybody else cares.
Why? Yeah. Why do we have this even to begin with? The camp counselor thing?
This is what we do. We yell at each other. We get together and then we yell at each other specifically.
Well, she draws the line at people making fun of hearing aids. And this was a great opportunity for half of the group to get up and walk away. And that's just kind of how that day ends.
Well, that's what, because Bronwyn was kind of caught in the middle of that. She was rolled up in the oatmeal cream pie of it.
Very few people made it out of there without attentions being turned on them at some point.
Because I thought it was weird where Angie and Whitney, do you think that Bronwyn was correct in her assessment where Angie and Whitney were warning Bronwyn and kind of talking shit about Lisa on that walk? I think she was right about that. Was it something that you needed to bring up in front of the group to kind of throw Angie and Whitney under the bus? Probably not the best use to go ahead and do that at this point.
I think that she's getting a little too confident.
Yeah, because one of these times it's not going to work out in her favor. It's going to fire back here.
To make switching to the new Boost Mobile risk-free, we're offering a 30-day money-back guarantee.
So why wouldn't you switch from Verizon or T-Mobile?
Because you have nothing to lose. Boost Mobile is offering a 30-day money-back guarantee.
No, I asked why wouldn't you switch from Verizon or T-Mobile?
Oh.
Wouldn't.
Because you love wasting money as a way to punish yourself because your mother never showed you enough love as a child?
Whoa. Easy there.
Yeah.
Applies to online activations. Requires port in and auto pay. Customers activating in stores may be charged non-refundable activation fees.
Decisions.
Wait a minute. Are you still looking for cars on Carvana?
Yeah. Decisions.
When I use Carvana, I found the exact car I was looking for in minutes. Bought it on the spot.
Electric or full diesel? Decisions.
Come on, you've been at it for weeks. Just buy it already.
You're right. Crossover it is. Decisions decided.
Whether you know exactly what you want or like to take your time, buy your car the convenient way with Carvana.
Meredith, I guess, is preparing for her bat mitzvah, and she's hosting a smaller gathering of family and friends for a little Shabbat dinner. So you've got Brittany and her boyfriend, ?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good to have Jared's lower third with the question mark on the boyfriend title there.
No one knows the answer, not even them.
Nope, can't say for sure.
Heather's over. We invite Lisa and John and Todd and Bronwyn.
So we don't have to worry about Angie. We don't have to worry about Mary. Who else wasn't here? Maylee? Oh, okay.
Maylee.
Well, Maylee's never here. Was Whitney there?
No.
No, it was just Lisa who showed up with John.
Yeah, much smaller, pared down group. They're here to enjoy the traditional diamond-shaped coffee ice cubes on Shabbat.
I don't remember that being a feature. No. My memory escapes me, but I don't think that's a traditional dish.
They're only like a week out from her bat mitzvah, and this is their official invite.
So that probably feels like there was a paper invite that went out at an earlier date, and then this is just kind of a reminder as part of this other event that's happening here.
Nothing too exciting happens at this dinner until we get to see a conversation between Bronwyn and Todd.
It's not really a conversation.
No, it's another one of Todd's scoldings.
Yeah, it takes a turn here, and it's Bronwyn saying something and then Todd correcting her.
Well, she made a joke about how she could be a real snarky bitch, and he didn't like that.
And so he told her, kind of under his breath, but again, he's mic'd up, don't say stuff like that.
Okay, the first time I heard him say it, it made me really uncomfortable. And it felt like there was anger in his voice. And then we watched it again, and it didn't seem like that. Okay. So now I'm totally confused.
So, like, was it more of just like a general disappointment thing, or like he was upset? Sometimes there's like, if there's negative self-talk that happens,
I don't think he cares that much.
I don't know if that was his read on it. Because sometimes we've had that moment too, where it's like, hey, if I heard someone say that about my wife, something that you just said about yourself, I would be upset.
She was saying it in a joking manner, though,
right.
at a dinner, entertaining people.
I think it's understand the context of what's happening here. It sounded like she was joking.
I think that he just worries a lot about what other people think of them, and that he doesn't, or think of her, I guess, in this instance, and he doesn't like the way that she's presenting herself to the world on television.
I think he does take that as a reflection on himself.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, fair.
I think he does.
What's yours is mine. They don't have a prenup.
Well, I mean, they have an NSA background check.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was not something that you'd expect. But then I also didn't like how the group was very upset by that, because at the same time, you guys are all upset that they don't have a prenup. And then now you're upset that he had his own methods of kind of looking into this and doing his due diligence by his standards.
I don't know. Lisa has lawyers, multiple lawyers on speed dial, and a cybersecurity guy.
Allegedly.
But it's weird that Todd, before he married somebody without a prenup, had a background check run on them.
And if it was the NSA doing it with the Patriot Act, they had access to everything. It's all in there.
He's got her BYU soaking files.
He does. That's why she was expelled. Asked not to return.
Well, unfortunately, Heather is sitting across the table from Todd. I'm sorry, Todd, not Alan.
Not Alan.
And she hears this. And her face, she looks horrified. So you know she's clocking that for later. She's going to hold on to this little interaction.
She's making a note. That is definitely for sure.
The dinner also kind of ends on a weird note, because was this like a force-fed line about how everyone thinks something must be going on with Mary Cosby because her behavior just seems a little off.
There's just something about Mary. Yeah, we're trying to figure it out. And Meredith kind of opines on this as part of her announcement to the group. And then Brittany has to wedge herself in and then deliver this clunky, force-fed, producer-written line that just leads us directly over to the next scene. But it was so forced and so fake. Brittany's not good at this. This is not her strong suit. Obviously.
This is the part we're now going to start talking about the Robert Jr. storyline. So totally understand if you either want to skip ahead or maybe you just want to visit us again next week. But I want to talk a little bit about this because even the way they introed it was weird. There's the sound of children playing off in the distance, laughter.
The Razor scooter that was just tipped over on the sidewalk and the wheel slowly spinning to a stop.
Yeah, I guess they're trying to foreshadow that something is awry with the children, the child in the house.
Yeah, but you're also infantilizing this person who's engaging in this behavior. He's not a child.
The whole thing has been weird. The way that they've presented it in the weeks preceding, where it was comical every time Mary would see him walk in the house and he was groggy or out of it, or she would come up to the room and he's laying in bed. It's kind of weird, in my opinion, that Bravo just kind of flips the switch and now wants to have a serious conversation about what's going on.
Maybe it was played off as more lighthearted and joking and kind of poking fun at the scenario initially. Maybe Mary didn't even realize how bad it was until she started talking to him, because some of the numbers that he's throwing out and the combinations of things that are happening here, this is concerning.
I'm wondering if the film crew did not realize the extent of what was going on. But what we learn is that Mary has been under the impression that Robert Jr. uses drugs. But like he smokes weed or, you know, he'll have an edible here or there. But that was what she thought was going on. And now she has since discovered that there's a lot more drug use.
He's taking Xanax with everything.
Today he took Xanax to go to sleep, and then he took a little Adderall to balance it out.
You're mixing uppers and downers. This is classic scenarios for, it's just big problems. You got big problems here.
Not great. Also, when he said he took half a Xanax.
Half of what? Yeah, what quantity are we talking about?
What size bar?
Because this is a person who was talking about taking 10, 30 milligram oxys and not feeling anything. So this is how far we've gotten.
Like, he's on a lot of the pills, and like they can't be obtained legally, would be my guess, in the quantity that they're being consumed. Or it's getting to the point where he's realizing he can't keep up with it anymore. Now, this didn't seem to me like this was the first conversation that Mary and Robert have had together.
No, but it seemed genuinely upsetting for both of them to be having this conversation. Yeah.
No, for sure. But I do think there's been some conversation I've seen on TikTok kind of criticizing this scene, and that maybe it should have been something that was more private, that they should have had this conversation off camera. But it doesn't seem like it's the first conversation they've had, and that this is what they've agreed to talk about on camera together.
Yeah, I feel like they did have more extensive conversations off camera before this camera conversation took place. The concerns that I had was when we start talking about some of the reasoning for getting sober. And it seems like there is kind of a personal reason why Mary wants Robert Jr. to get clean, is because he was this perfect child. He was this upheld and kind of put on a pedestal example of all of these right things in her life that she kind of put a lot of investment into. And so she's seeing that kind of wither away here, and that's damaging to her.
I didn't take it that way.
So, so
it's her son.
I get it. And so the part of me where I'm very impressed and absolutely adore Mary Cosby is how direct this conversation is when she is asking all of those pointed questions of what is going on? What is happening? What are we dealing with? How can I help? And those are the types of conversations where it's absolutely astounding. I love the support and I love to see that. The other part of it, though, that I was catching onto was I feel like a lot of Robert Jr.'s addiction is probably in this kind of perfection space of this facade where he was the overachiever, excelling above and beyond for all this stuff. That's a lot of pressure to go into your adult life and then not really have any direct prospects on the horizon. That can be very overwhelming.
The part of the conversation that struck me that was really sad was when Mary mentioned to him that he's the only thing that's ever made her happy in her entire life.
That's a lot of pressure too.
Yeah, to your point, even if you remove the perfectionism aspect of it, but the fact that the only joy your mom gets from life is in being your mother. That's a lot. And it's also red flags for Mary to go to therapy.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Because then if that's your investment here, if everything that you have is riding on this one person, this one relationship that you do have, then that can be damaging too. Well, from the dependence aspect of it, from that side, but then also from it's the pressure that you're not having a healthy relationship dynamic, because then you're constantly putting him in a position to please you. He has to impress you or live up to those expectations that you have.
I do wonder if there's a lot of codependency in this relationship. If, there's a lot of questions about her relationship with Robert Sr. And she's outright told us that it seems like Robert Jr. is the only thing that's ever made her happy in her life. So kids realize that even from a really young age. And I think that's a lot to grow up with. So there's a lot going on here, even beyond the immediate situation that they're dealing with, which is the drug addiction.
And it's great that Mary is trying actively to get Robert Jr. the support and the help that he needs. I just hope to see that continues on with the help and support that she needs through this as well.
I think that's kind of the perfect way to wrap that up. They ended the episode with a PSA. There was no preview for the next episode, so we do want to read you the resources that they provided as well. If you or someone you know is struggling with substance abuse, call the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration helpline at 1-800-662-HELP. It's free, confidential, and available 24/7.
Well, thanks so much for listening, everyone.
Couple of quick announcements before we go. If you missed it, we released an episode recapping the new JonBenet Ramsey 3-part documentary that dropped on Netflix just before the holiday.
And oh my God, the theories have only grown from the time that we've recorded that. We've continued to talk about it at length. If you want to be part of that conversation, you can swing over to our Discord, and you can gain access to that by joining our Patreon over at patreon.com/survivingpod.
Also, we do a little bonus podcast over there called Let's Talk About It, and we're going to be talking about Hot Frosty, which is also on Netflix.
It's a Netflix movie.
Really pumping out the new releases here at the end of the year.
Kind of those Netflix Hallmark-esque movies that Netflix has jumped into production on.
And that's one of our little traditions, is to do a Hallmark or Lifetime type movie for the holidays, and this one looks like it is not going to disappoint. Thanks for listening. See you next week.
Even the busiest of holiday schedules is no match for Alo Moves, the streaming wellness platform where you can sculpt your muscles, unwind with a yoga class, or even learn the art of awareness with their latest meditation offerings. On demand, whenever works for you. And right now, for Cyber Week, you can get almost 40% off your 1-year membership with great deals on 6-month and monthly memberships too. Start saving today at allomoves.com. allomoves.com.
Hi, this is Jonathan Fields, host of The Good Life Project, where each week I talk to listeners about investing in their future by increasing their own vitality. But when it comes to those financial goals, whether it be saving for a home renovation, growing your child's college fund, or travel, life can make it difficult to stay the course. By working with a dedicated Merrill advisor, you get a personalized plan and a clear path forward. Having the bull at your back helps your whole financial life move with you. So when your plans change, Merrill's with you every step of the way. Go to ml.com/bullish to learn more. Merrill, a Bank of America company. What would you like the power to do? Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, registered broker-dealer, registered investment advisor, member SIPC.
25% off fine jewelry. Sounds pretty good, right? Missouri's biggest sale ever is here. From November 25th through December 2nd, get 25% off everything on orders of $150 or more. From bold hoops to minimalist stacks and a few diamonds sprinkled in here and there, Missouri makes handcrafted fine jewelry for every day. Each piece is made with responsibly sourced materials so you can look and feel good about gifting and wearing them. Find something for everyone, especially yourself. Shop your wish list 25% off online at Missouri.com, in-store, and in-app.